The majority of the British public support this. If you take an aggregate of the polls over the past year, around 53% or so of the British public, and that includes, of course, the vast majority of straight people in Britain. So that's the first point. This isn't just from a gay rights lobby, and I'm not really part of any gay rights lobby. I don't really know what you're talking about there. But in terms of why we should have it, well, a civil partnership isn't a marriage for a number of reasons. A civil partnership just needs to be signed as a contract. Really, it needs to be signed between the two people, and only one of you needs to go to the registry office, and then you're civilly partnered. Whereas a marriage is a vow taken with two witnesses, and it's an oath. And marriage as an institution has binded together our society. It's a commitment device. It's binded together people for so many years. And I think to allow gay people to enter into that, you're really sending a statement about what sort of society we want to build, one that's based on commitment, one that's based on mutual respect and love. And that's why I think marriage is important. And the Prime Minister clearly recognises that. And on behalf of all the people, not just gay people who want this, I congratulate and welcome what the Prime Minister said today.
OK, Canon Sugden, you heard it there quite a few times. It's not just the gay lobby, it's the Prime Minister, it's pretty much the majority of British society, isn't it, that wants this?
Well, it's never been put before us as a matter for either in the government's manifestos, and we're not governed by opinion polls, we're governed by elected representatives in Parliament. The Prime Minister wants a society of commitment, yes, but marriage is a commitment between a man and a woman. And if you take gender out of marriage, you turn it into something else. We're going to be sending a book to all parliamentarians in the next week, and also to the 350 Tory party constituency chairman, asking, is there a case for same-sex marriage, questions of eligibility and consequences. And the point is that marriage is between a man and a woman, and research studies show that commitment between those in a same-sex relationship actually is higher if they are non-monogamous. It's strange but true. That is the sort of research that we've been able to find, whereas obviously between man and woman, commitment depends on faithfulness and exclusivity.
Joseph Musgrave, what do you think of that research?
Well, I think slightly, I haven't seen this research. I think it's a bizarre statement to say. Say even if it is true. Let's indulge ourselves for a moment and say this is true. What we're saying is because for some reason gay people are more committed to one another in a non-monogamous relationship, we shouldn't have marriage, therefore we've decided already. So I really think that's a bogus argument. I don't really see that. And here's where Craig loses me. You know, he's got a definition that he understands from the Bible as between one man and woman. I perfectly respect that view. Absolutely, that's fine. But he has no right to tell other churches like Unitarians, like the Quakers, and other faiths such as the liberal Jews that want to marry same-sex couples. He has no authority to tell those faiths groups how they should theologically define marriage. And if they want to go ahead and do this, and this is what the Prime Minister said today, they should be able to. And I don't think it's for myself and for Craig or for whomever to decide for a different church or faith how they should define marriage.
OK, Chris Sugden, the fact is the Prime Minister made it clear that there would be an opt-out if this legislation goes through. If there is a parish, if there are clergy who do not feel that this should happen in their particular church or a synagogue or a mosque or whatever, then they should not be allowed, they should not be forced to have to conduct these marriages. That's fair enough, isn't it?
Well, we're not looking for and we're not interested in any particular protection for churches on this matter, because this marriage is not something just for religious people. It is something for everybody. It's part of the created order and the relationship of men and women in the created order. That's the first thing to say. Secondly, the Prime Minister has gone back on their commitment earlier that there would be no such ceremonies in any religious places of worship, and now they've changed their mind on that. So clearly it's possible that they may change their mind again. And thirdly, he's going to have a car crash with European equalities legislation, because the legislation is such that once it's enshrined in civil law, it's going to be enshrined in all law. And I've had it clearly said to me by leaders of the lesbian, gay, bisexual transgender movement, that they will bring cases against clergy and churches that do not wish to do this, and they will challenge them on the basis of the equalities legislation. So I think the Prime Minister is entering very dangerous and uncertain territory here. And anyway, the churches don't particularly value this sort of protection because it means nothing, and because they don't want just protection for themselves. That's not the issue. They want the best. They want to ensure real marriage that ensures the future, and be very clear about this, that this is a blessing and a benefit for everybody.
Sure. I mean, Joseph Musgrave, I mean, the fact is EU equality laws could make this very difficult to get through, couldn't it?
No, I don't think that's a fact. I don't accept that for a number of reasons. Not only has the government quite clearly said there's going to be this lock in place that prevents the type of thing that's just been described from happening. It's the purview of each state in Europe to define marriage, and if they say that certain churches can't and certain churches can't, that has to be respected. That's very clear. But I just want to go back to this point about what was just raised there, and it slightly concerns me, is saying that he said marriage is for everybody, and then you define actually between a man and woman, and how society should be, I suppose, bound together. And I think what the Prime Minister and the government are saying is that gay people and lesbian people and bisexual people, they're part of society, and they have a real place to raise children and to love one another and to respect one another. And I think to say that they can't take part in the institution of marriage is denying a part of our society that we want to bind in commitment. And that's why I think this is so important, because we're really sending a message about how we want society itself to be. And it's not for, again, I want to stress this, it's not for us to define what someone else can or can't do.